This one might not have to be in black and white. It can actually be in
No,
color.
they're all in black and white. Yeah.
That's our
Wait,
thing.
didn't we do one
When
color?
we're outside of the truck, it's in color.
Oh, that's right.
Keeps the mystery going.
We went to a.
What color
you
shirt
want your
is
trunk
he
open?
really wearing?
Right?
No.
We
If
went.
that's the mystery people are trying to solve, then we.
Distracted driving, riding around filming for you. Distracted driving, jokes and games and interviews. Distracted driving, tune in, have a good time. Distracted driving, Ray and Tim and Jay from behind.
Jump in with
Yeah.
you, and then.
Monica Mansfield, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Well, thanks for coming on Distracted Driving. You have your own show.
I do.
So this is like a meeting of the minds here.
That's broken. Go ahead. No, that's fine.
Did you? Good thing you didn't bring that to poker.
No, that is true.
Oh.
That would have caused a problem.
Yeah, Tim made a big deal that we have this and Jeff has one. Jeff's got the official, I guess.
And Jeff's
Yeah.
was broken
And he's
too.
like, I'll go in my car. I've got one too.
Is that the timer?
Yeah. So we'll just have to keep a mental check on where we are.
Or you
anyway,
could just
it's
look
6
at it
o'clock,
every
we
now and
started.
then.
Okay, so there you go. So it's a meeting of the
Yeah.
television show Minds here. Monica has her own show. And why don't you tell everybody about your show, Monica?
Actually, I participate in 2 shows in Shrewsbury, but the one that I am to heart and soul and labor of love and blood, sweat, and tears is called Mostly Rock and Roll, and it's a music show where we try to provide a front row seat for premier musicians, singer-songwriters, rock and rollers. We've had some blues, funk, Andean folk band. We've had all sorts of music over the years. I've been producing the show for about 14 years or so.
Wow.
And it's in Shrewsbury, most of the shows. We have a studio there, and we have most of the musicians will come there. It's about a half-hour show, and we interview, and we do about a 4 to 6 camera shoot, and then we post-produce, edit, and we splice the interview segments in between the different songs. So it's really wonderful for the artists and me. I mean, I've loved the whole experience of it immensely, but everybody that's been on the show is a phenomenal full-time musician that is usually nationally touring musicians. So we've been very blessed, and I've developed a number of friendships of musicians who have been my idols that have become great friends. And then just the whole community of it, of being able to promote it out into the world. It plays in Massachusetts, it plays in the whole state of Rhode Island, it plays in parts of the Midwest, New Hampshire, and we also, a few times a year, I'll do part on WBZ Radio with Jordan Rich, where he talks about the show, and we get artists who have been on my TV show onto Jordan's radio show.
Well, name drop a little bit. We're okay with this. I want some name dropping right here.
We can be impressed.
Yeah.
Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. I've had fun. We filmed Jethro Tull, but interviewed Martin Barr, the guitarist. Those were just incredible rushes, those shows, because I'll tell you some about that in a bit. But Glenn Phillips from Toad the Wet Sprocket.
I was a huge Toad fan.
Yeah.
Are they local? Are they local guys?
No, that's Sacramento? Somewhere around that way, yeah.
How do you know they're Sacramento?
I was a huge Toad the Wet Sprocket fan in the
Apparently.
90s, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I worked at Newbury Comics. So
You got like an eidetic mind or something like that. When
You know
it
the
comes to
song
music.
Walk on the
This is what you get when you don't drink, Jay. You can remember things and, yeah, sorry.
They showed up at a club, or one of the guys showed up at a club on the Cape like in '99. It was just after their heyday, and I announced them. So-and-so's here from Toad the Wet Sprocket. Nobody, crickets.
Really?
Well, they were listening to like, Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, okay.
at
Yeah,
the dance
not the
club.
right
Nobody,
crowd.
Yeah, it
Not
wasn't
the right crowd. Yeah,
but they were fantastic.
They have a huge following. Actually, Toad the Wet Sprocket played this past summer at the River Music Fest in Newburyport, and there were about 5 bands there, and they were the culminating act at the end, and the place was absolutely packed. There must have been about 6,000 people there.
That's
and
awesome.
They're just adoring fans, and it was a hot summer day. I got to go to that, and actually Glenn and I visited for a few minutes before he had to hop on stage, so it was pretty cool.
That's a great
cool.
show,
Yeah.
the Newburyport show.
Yeah.
They do a great job every year.
They do. But so we've also had Alice Paul, Willie Porter, Michael Fontaine, Spearhead, Alana Davis, golly, so many. Shun Ing, Chris Trapper,
Push Stars.
Push,
right?
yeah, Chris Chopper from the Push Stars, and he's just a doll. He's really wonderful. The Becky Chase Band from Rhode Island, they were the very first act we had, and they were so wonderful that they really kind of set the stage that we can do this, you guys. But yeah, I tried, Peter Mulvey, I tried to make a list so that I wouldn't forget, and I have, like, I know I've forgotten some, but we probably filmed about 80 or 90 different artists over the years.
Wow.
Did you interview Lindsay? Did I see that? No?
We filmed Lindsay,
you
but
filmed Lindsay?
we had a little snafu with the interview and what was expected and what occurred. But we have footage, and Mark Knopfler, we have footage from him. I was about to film Chris Cornell, but he was one of my huge idols, but he had something come up at the last minute. And Tom Morello, I was about to film, and then he had to do an in-store thing. And so I'm in the Rolodex for Chris Cornell of Soundgarden.
That's awesome.
That's a great
they're
Rolodex
just
to
like,
begin, yeah.
He's still so relevant.
But
he is still so
But of
relevant.
course, when unfortunately he doesn't make it, does that make him feel a little bad about it? So he might actually.
Well, he might. Well,
See, that's what I like.
His manager, publicist, and I have this every time he's coming in the area. I'll send the emails,
Yeah.
the re-invites, and they're always, answering back. But because I'm in their Rolodex, and by the way, the time he couldn't film at the last minute, they gave me backstage passes, and I got to meet him and have my
well,
picture
there you
taken.
go.
So that was all.
Well, next time he comes here, if he needs a ride to your studio,
Yes.
we know a guy with a truck.
Yeah, his name's Dave. We could call him.
We do provide taxi services for situations.
We were thinking to get an Uber license, to be honest with you.
How do you find these people? How do you find your guests? How do you get in touch with them? How do you get them on the show?
Well, some have been the circumstance where they're a friend of someone that's been on. For instance, Willie Porter, he was about maybe my third person I'd had on, and I was this huge, massive fan and invited him on, and he said yes, and that was, I was dancing in my kitchen going, Willie Porter's going to do my show. My son, he's now 23 or 22, and he reminds me of that. His 9-year-old self of me, like, dancing around the kitchen. But anyhow, for instance, Willie then was playing, was the opening act for Jethro Tull, and he connected me with Martin Barr, who's the guitarist from Jethro Tull. So that was the first time I filmed them when we interviewed Martin, and then a second time when I filmed Ian Anderson, it was because we had filmed Martin Barr the first time and all had gone well. So sometimes it's this person, that person, and
I assume it's all about who you know.
It can be, but it's also kind of how you present the show, and that if you have clips from other shows, and if you're
Should we present ourselves in a better light?
I was just having the same thought.
How
I'm
does
like,
this look so far? Because that could be what we're doing wrong. I don't know.
The
I don't
fact
think
that
we're
you-
doing anything wrong.
I
The
think
fact
you
that
guys are
Chris
wonderful.
Cornell canceled with you is like the biggest thing that would ever happen to us. It's like I would be honored to be canceled by Chris Cornell.
Yes.
Well, there's more of a story too, because I'm in the Rolodex. I got this call out of the blue, or actually an email out of the blue from with the people that handle Creed, and Creed was coming to town, and they asked me if I would film. And as it turned out, we went back and forth, and I never heard from them in the fashion that I needed to set things up, and thought that meant on their end that things were not going to occur.
Oh, no, and they showed up?
So even 2 weeks before the concert, I would hear one line oh, we're passing this on to the next person. So it was, the concert in Boston with Creed was on a Friday night, and it was the Thursday night before, and I'd had a long day at work. As Tim knows, I'm a veterinarian, and it was a super long day, and I 8:30 at night I get this call from California, and it said, "Hi, this is Creed's manager. Are you ready to film tomorrow?" And I was like, "What?" We didn't even have any confirmation, nor did we have any cameras reserved. And the next night was a Shrewsbury Town spelling bee, for which I was now committed, and all the cameras were. So we turned down Creed basically to do the Shrewsbury Town spelling bee. And this is the first time I'm telling this story on TV, but it's absolutely true. And I was
And
crying.
then his
and I
career
was
went downhill, and now he doesn't have a house.
It all
only he had
snowballs.
filmed with us on Mostly Rock and Roll.
The
But-
downward spiral that can occur.
So the one, if we're ever invited to her show, we show up.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Are you ever disappointed? And I hate asking this question, but you seem like you're such a fan of everybody that you have on. You're like a super fan, and that can be dangerous when you actually meet your idols.
Oh yeah.
So has that ever happened to you? Where you're like, oh, I thought you were going to be cool.
I've been rarely disappointed, but I would say there are two that didn't work out well. And that out of the 90 or however many we filmed, one was I think it's kind of mean to say garage band, but it was a young band that the mother was really pushing for them to be on, and the son was a music major in college. And usually, well, my rule is really it's established musicians that have a CD out and they're on the career path, or that's their job. But they, in music that I love and music that enhances, that's kind of the one thing I go for.
It's your show.
It's my show.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, the mom really pushed and I had them come on, and none of the kids in the band took it seriously at all, and they were just joking around during the interview, and it just didn't go over well with any of us. And now one of the guy that's the son of the mom, he's a singer-songwriter now, and he's out and about. I see his name around, and so hopefully he's got religion about it and doing taking it more responsibly.
Some people just need to grow up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
But the other was a very well-known singer-songwriter, musician that we filmed, and I think I probably will leave her name out, but she was having probably some emotional issues, and I got a crew. We traveled up to Newburyport, Massachusetts to go. My husband came to run a camera. We had a babysitter for the kids, and she didn't show up for the interview 2 hours early like she was supposed to do. And then at the end of the show, she confiscated all the house sound tapes and my tapes because she was paranoid about certain things.
I'm calling it. It was Alanis Morissette.
No.
She was angry about Dave Coulier.
No, that wasn't it.
But
anyhow, so it was upsetting at the time, but I don't say I hadn't been warned, because Alice Paul had told me, are you sure you're gonna, she's kind of had some maybe issues. So anyhow, I'm like, no, I love her, and I love her music. She'll be fine. It's all good. Everything's
see, now I'm doing math in my head, but
always listen to Alice. I think that's the rule.
Always listen to Alice. Always listen.
Well, maybe a future guest.
I met Anthony Michael Hall once, and he was a jerk.
Really?
I'm dropping names.
He was David Bowie. If you want to come on the show and defend yourself, you treated me like crap.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe if we throw out names of people that treated us poorly in the past, they'll come on.
You think David Bowie's getting in the back of the truck?
So.
I don't know. I blame David Bowie's management when I met him. I used to work for Newbury Comics, and you get to meet and greets with all these people. One of the best people I ever met, Elvis Costello. Funnest guy I've ever met in my life. David Bowie. We were all supposed to get a handshake and a greet, and he walked through the room. You blink, he's out the other door. It's like, okay, thanks for coming.
Oh, that's too bad.
That's disappointing, because I wouldn't think David Bowie.
No,
would be
that's
that
why
much
I'm more likely to blame his handlers.
That happens.
He might
in
not
most
even know.
cases, and Monica, maybe you can agree with this or disagree, but in most cases, it's the handlers that screw things up for people.
That could be.
Like, I don't think he knew that he was supposed to do what we expected him to do.
That may well be the case.
People are also every now and then just having a really bad day.
They're allowed.
Well, that's true too. And they don't want to talk to, as a DJ, I've talked to so many musicians and actors and stuff like that, and I know I'm always like the 20th phone call they had to make that.
With the same question.
Doing the circuit.
I've always tried to, switch it up a little bit with the questions, but they don't, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So by the time they get to me, they're in a really bad mood.
But I feel really fortunate, but at least the format that we have, by the time they've committed to coming in, and we try to make them very comfortable, and we feed them and make them feel at home most of the time, and the people that I think I'm drawn to are extremely kind and heartfelt and great sense of humor people, and it's,
well, like you said,
usually
you've only had 2 bad experiences out of all that. So that's a pretty good track record right there.
By the way, we don't feed our guests, but we will go through the drive-thru if you're hungry.
We have cookies.
We do have cookies, yes, if you want a cookie.
We have leftover cookies. And honestly, I've got kids. There could be fruit snacks anywhere in this car.
Under the sea. Oh, here, I found them. Yeah, Martin Joseph, he's in Wales, and he's a huge star in Wales and Canada, and not as well known in the States, but we had him in our studio, and it was so interesting because when we put up his video clips within like a day. The number of hits he had from there, and they were, because on YouTube you can track where they're coming from, and you can see where they're coming from the UK, and they're.
We might want to show about that.
We gotta look into this.
We have issues with knowing actually who's watching this and how many people click on things. And because our number's low, we tend to blame things like, oh, that must not be real information. Or,
no, but you can see the age demographic and
we know our demographic.
A lot of them are male viewers when they're guitarists.
We got that one guy.
Yeah, and Jeff's grandparents.
Jeff's grandparents. We have a friend named Jeff, and his grandparents are big fans.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
But I think they want to see where we're driving.
Yes, they want to know if we're coming down their street, which we keep saying we're gonna. I know where they live. We should go inside of their house.
That sounded creepy.
We know where you live.
I know where they live as a photographer. That's
okay.
yes.
That's even creepier.
I got a long lens. I sit up in a tree.
Even creepier.
Monica,
Just the long lens part.
Who is your dream guest?
Oh wow! You mean who has actually been on? Or
No,
has
somebody that
been?
you want on who has not yet been
Chris
on.
Cornell, I think that would be my dream guest.
He's huge. Again,
I keep
he's so
lobbying
relevant.
for him, but-
Soundgarden came back.
Yes.
They had a new album. He's on the new Zach Brown album.
Yep.
Sounds amazing. And he's always doing his solo thing.
Yeah.
The guy is just,
Vocals.
he's
on
got to
him.
be one of the
I
best.
don't know how he can still sing the way he does.
Yeah.
He still hits those notes, and man, he is so
I
talented.
know. And Trent Reznor, I wouldn't mind having him. But,
yeah?
you know,
Trent would
I
be
think
awesome.
part of the reason that I would totally love to have either of them, or, well, I'm sure many other acts, but they're such motivating music. You know, they're on my running playlist, and I just totally in my head all the time. But it's just music that resonates with me in a big way.
They're just pieces of my youth. That's why I
It
would.
is
Yeah.
the cop.
First cup, we always see at least one. And we're 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
Some of the women that have been on my show that I just really emulate a lot. And Natalia Zuckerman, I think I mentioned Alana Davis. She has the song 32 Flavors, and she's just incredible. Rebecca Loewe, who is on The Voice. Antje Duvakot.
Yep. I
Do you know Antje?
I do. I
Yes.
actually, at the time when I knew her boyfriend. I don't know if they're still together. He was a very talented musician himself too. But my daughter was a huge fan of hers, and we got to meet her when she was younger. And it was one of those cool parent moments where you take her to meet somebody, and
Yeah.
she's just sitting there. I remember Anna holding her little thing, and she like handed her a piece of paper so she could sign it.
Yeah, I adore Antje.
She's incredibly talented.
Incredible songwriter and just the purest spirit and soul on her.
She toured with Elvis for a while.
She did.
Yep.
She did. The two of them are going to tour together probably in another year and a half or so. Do an album together. At least that was what they said.
Cool.
A year
What's
ago.
our dream guest?
We have
Well, you
several.
had one, Ricky Gervais.
I thought we talked about
One
Ricky
of them,
Gervais.
right?
Yes, we
I'm
did.
trying to remember right now.
Music-wise, I'd love to get like Dave Grohl or.
Dave Grohl
Ooh,
would be
Dave Grohl would be
amazing. That would be a
wonderful.
10-parter,
Yeah.
I think.
As long as he wants to stay in the truck, we will just buy new GoPros. We'll go to the Best Buy, buy more cards, more batteries. You just stay here, Dave. Keep talking.
He is what music should be.
Yeah, he's rock and roll royalty.
Yep. And
Yeah.
and now it's
Yeah.
not just
That's
rock
what
and
I-
roll
Seems
with
like a
him.
real guy.
He's all
Yeah.
over the place. He respects so much about music in general that he's relatable on every level.
I love that show.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
show.
Oh, I haven't
Sonic
seen the show.
Highway.
I still
I
gotta
haven't
watch
either.
it.
Yeah.
I've heard
Oh, he had an
nothing but good
HBO documentary series where, so when they produced, what they had 11 songs on their new album, he recorded it in different cities, and he would
Wrote
do
it, too,
Wrote
in each
the
city.
song, and then he would record it with local producers and talk about the different venues that they had. And so he went to Nashville, he went to Austin, he went to New York City, Seattle, and so he'd give a history. It was just a cool documentary.
History of the music of that city.
And didn't he just like pop in certain places that people totally didn't expect that he was there?
Oh yeah, he's
He was at the
recording.
Bluebird. Didn't he get up at the Bluebird in Nashville?
Yeah,
And
he
just
said,
said,
I hope that I make it. You know, it's my first time out. You know, I heard if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. Then he's recording in New Orleans,
Yep.
and he looks out the window and goes, hey, I met that guy last night at his bachelor party. And he goes outside and he drags the guy in.
Oh, wow.
So we're waiting for him to walk into the Tradesman one night
Yeah.
and be like, I heard about this place. Isn't this where Toll Booth
We
Willie
stopped
played?
at the Tradesman a couple years ago? Somebody stopped by?
Franz
Ferdinand.
Fernand.
They're friends with Little Liz.
Oh, okay.
I just heard them the other day. It made me think of that. They just, what were they? No, they're not friends with her.
Yeah, they are.
I think they were driving through town and they didn't know where they were.
No, they're friends with
Okay,
her.
because Liz didn't know who they were last time I talked to her.
She,
That's what she
might
said
know
to me.
She might know them as their actual names and not as the band, because she just meets lots of different people.
Ah, I got you.
So what else can we talk about?
I want to just say my dream guest, because you guys, jumping
Yeah.
out there. It's still Bill Murray. I remember.
Oh, Bill
Yeah.
Murray. Awesome.
But that's
Yeah.
mainly because afterwards I just want to go drinking with him.
He would be fun.
Yeah.
I think he
It would
would.
be a lot of
He
fun.
probably just drink in the back of the car.
I think
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Because Bill does what
I'm
Bill
not
wants
cool with
to
it,
do.
but I think Bill would be fine with it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You
Yes.
just run over, Tim.
No, I got stuff in the back. It's all loose. I have multi
Someone
things. I
tied
spent my
up.
morning this morning taking pictures with the Easter Bunny, and so now all the props and crap are rolling around the
The
back.
Easter Bunny's in the back.
Yeah. until next year.
Oh.
That's where he lives.
Man.
Sorry, kids. Yeah.
What got you into this? I almost called you Madonna. Hey,
Madonna.
She's my dream guest.
right.
Monica, what got you into this? I'm very tired.
I was a musician part-time, like as my side, a side thing for a long time. I played at church and as a soloist and guitar and open mic nights for a long time. And then when I was pregnant with my second son, I was on bed rest for 4 months, and so a lot of things had to change. And I stopped playing as much music, or it just became too difficult because working as a vet and then trying to manage the music and getting out was very difficult with 2 young kids once the second one came along. So,
Lot to juggle.
but I had already been doing a television show at the TV station called Your Healthy Pet, so I do veterinary topics, and that kind of went away when I went on bed rest as well. But when I realized I couldn't keep up with the music as much, and I was no longer doing the other show, I really, really, really missed everyone at the TV station, and I wanted to kind of marry the two things with I actually thought it was going to be a one-time thing with the Becky Chase Band. And there's this musician I loved, Mary Amsterberg, and I just had her in mind, and I thought if only I could get her into the TV studio once and we could film a music show and I could interview her. And it was like 4 years later that I finally had her after our show was going, but she was the dream in my head. And so we did it with a different band, and then they were so good we decided to make a series, and so that's kind of how it all started. It organically evolved from unquenched desires of either playing music or being able to still connect with the music world. So, and you guys know, especially
It's addictive being on TV.
Yeah.
I love doing this stuff. I know. You guys all know it.
I could walk away tomorrow.
I did it for years and years and years. I love doing
fulfilled
live
your
shows. I
dream.
love doing
My
everything.
dream's done.
Check it off the bucket list.
You
I've
two
been
would
on
be just
TV.
sitting in a parking lot by yourselves and not being able to drive.
That's the
anywhere.
next show.
They'd be, where's the truck?
This
Where's
was organic,
Tim?
I guess, right? We put a camera up one day and decided let's try a TV show.
Yep.
And it was just going to be on YouTube, and then it ended up on Milford TV. It was going to be a silent show, too, at first.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, not by choice. It's amazing when you don't turn this thing on. Actually, no.
Learned that the hard
no,
way.
We tried to use the audio just from the GoPro,
Oh,
which
right,
sounded
right.
like crap. All you hear is the road noise.
You get
for
the
one episode.
vibrations through the...
Yep. So we went out, we bought this, and we duct taped it to the ceiling. And we
But I remember
gotta turn it on.
I remember you said your wife watched it though, because you could still hear a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You guys are gonna be famous." I wasn't sure if she was just messing with you.
That was
She
the
wasn't
thing.
messing with it.
No, you guys have never seen it. That's right.
I've
the
never
first
seen it.
episode is quite funny. It's just that you just hear
It's
this
entitled
What happened?
McNuggets.
horrible humming of noise. I'm waiting for the technology to get to
Make
a
us
point.
funnier?
No,
It was- no.
so I can get rid of that horrible noise.
Oh.
It was a great McNugget sketch that was going on, and
Oh, that's right. Your McNugget rant.
Is that my 40 McNugget?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
I'll
had
eat 40 McNuggets. I'll eat
It's like, wait,
60
what?
McNuggets.
it was like, wait a minute, you eat a lot of McNuggets? Yeah, no. Well, what's the usual? Well, I got 2 20-packs. 2 20-packs? That's a lot of
I
McNuggets.
forgot
nuggets.
about that. That was like a year ago.
They're not whole chickens, they're nuggets.
These are the conversations.
Of course.
Yeah, this is gold, by the way.
Well, back to the show. When is it on? Where can we see
Yeah,
it? Where can we
Oh,
find
sorry.
it?
Yeah. It's Shrewsbury Cable Access, but the best place is on my YouTube page. It's youtube.com/mostly rock and roll. And we have several of the shows, but certainly not nearly all of them, up on there. And recently we've been able to, in the last couple of years, we've been able to get the half-hour shows, but prior to that we could only put about 10-minute clips.
Oh,
so
wow.
we have
Oh, that
clips.
explains why. Yeah, because I went to your website and I couldn't figure out. They were all the short.
Yeah. And when we do have the shorter one, that might not be too bad either for the musicians who want to use them for little promo pieces too. And we've done that too for several of the musicians. We've made them promo pieces that are, maybe 5 minutes or 3 minutes long. So sometimes if they're playing at a club, they'll embed our video on there. So that's
Yep.
nice.
Has it always been called Mostly Rock and Roll?
Yep,
Great
with an
name.
N. Mostly rock and roll. With an
Okay.
N.
And
Yeah.
where did that come from? did you decide right away that I love rock and roll, but I don't want to just do rock and roll? So let's call it.
It's pretty much was like that. And the first 3 bands we did, or 3 or 4 acts that we were going to film were rock bands. Clutch Gravel, that was another one that we were going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And Lenny Peterson in the band was one of my really good friends. And so they were at the beginning, and the Becky Chase band. And I was thinking, I think it's going to be a more rock and roll feel. And so yes, I wanted to leave it open to whatever type of music. And so as it's turned out, I think the bulk has been a lot of singer-songwriters, but it leaves it open to interpretation.
Of course. Yep.
And even the Andean folk band that we had come in, there's this family of 8 people that live in the same apartment in Somerville, and they traveled up from I'm trying to think exactly which, Ecuador, and they had all the shawls and the skirts and the outfits to dance. The women did,
Yep.
and then this whole family of musicians that played every instrument so incredibly well, and that was such inspiring music. The way I got them was I was walking along Faneuil Hall, and they were out playing.
Nice.
And I just totally loved their music. I asked them, would you consider doing our show? And then one of them, Roberto, he was needing to get some papers or citizenship, or it was something along that lines, and I was able to write him a letter of reference because we got to know each other from there, and all things came together well for them.
Nice.
For him being able to follow all the rules about all he needed to do. So it was
So you
great.
helped him get his citizenship.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Wow. That's a
it
great
was really cool. Yeah. So a lot of good things come.
Yeah.
Besides friendships and all, sometimes you feel like you're contributing to people's lives, and they're contributing to ours.
And it's still mostly rock and roll.
It's still mostly rock and roll,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
But sometimes I look back at the old shows. So now it's playing in Rhode Island, and I spend some of my week in Rhode Island, so I'm a resident down there. And looking back, particularly on that show, it was not a good hair day or something. Or I had mom jeans on. Like, there were jeans that were, but the styles changed for over about 14 years, and I was like, no, I can't look at that.
Actually, we've only been on for a year, and so much has changed. Jay's hair,
hair.
my weight.
It's a hot topic.
Your
I
your
sometimes
scruff,
have a
sometimes
beard,
it's-
sometimes I don't have it.
But it comes back quickly, Tim.
It does. That's
Oh,
why it was
God.
sold. Like, hey, you shaved it off and it's back.
So, Monica, the show's going to be on Milford TV now. You just talked to Rob, and
Yes.
hopefully you're going to be on Milford TV.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to
Very
start
cool.
watching it. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I think that's it, right?
That's it. Well,
Wow.
we wrapping up. This is
It was a perfect circle. You did
Yeah.
perfect timing.
I
How'd
don't
you
know
do
where
that,
the
Tim?
hell he just went. I don't know how
pretty.
you
It
knew
was
where you were
pretty.
going.
I know where I'm going.
Except for that
Did you
last
scout that
road that we were
location?
just bumping all
I
over
know.
the place. 'Cause
I got new shocks between the last 2 seasons, but it doesn't help much.
And nobody threw up from the back seat. So
No.
that's really good.
I've never ridden
that'll
back there,
be
so
the
I
that'll
assume
be the
it's-
episode that that gets the most hits, I'm sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for being on the
you,
show.
guys.
Being here.
That
All
was
right.
so
Great
much
to meet
fun.
you.
That
Now
went
we're just
by
gonna wrap
like
up and
that.
shut it off anyway, right?
Let's do it. Let's
All
wrap it
right.
up.
Great.
Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Turn the key and ready to go. Just left the tea, it's time to start the show. The wheels are turning on the minivan. So says the guy from that astronaut band. It's Ray J, Tim, and the weekly guest. As far as YouTube videos, this one is the best. It's distracted driving. Distracted driving. It's distracted driving. Distracted driving.